dare to dream, and then belief is a very important part of it, because without that, it stays a dream. It's like, yeah, that'd be nice, or it's nice for other people, and I wish, and it will definitely never happen. So you've got to believe in it. And I know many of my times in my life where I didn't believe, but I also know the belief I had in myself to go to the Olympics. No one else necessarily believed that I could make it to the Olympics, but I had to have that myself, and can't rely on the belief of others. You've got to believe it in yourself, remove all doubt, have this dream. And finally, you've got to make it happen. And so that's taking action, and whatever action that might be. And often when you get those first two parts, the actions, it becomes clear what you've got to do. And it's becoming open to opportunities. It's making plans, even, mapping it out, or whether it's writing it out and doing what you can to say yes to the opportunities that make it happen.
Nice. So dare to dream, believe, and then, as you rightly point out, very key one, take action. So those are your three steps the three main steps for making change.
Make it happen, because sometimes there definitely is action in it, but in the belief make it happen, there's focus and commitment, and
yes.
often it's that commitment and that focus that makes it happen. It's I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking. This was at my work. And we were saying, hey, this conference would be good for what you do to go to. And she's like, yeah, I saw that. And she sort of, it would be good to go to. And I said, make it happen, just say you're going, and in that mind, get it clear. It's like, yeah, I'm going. And somehow, if you make that commitment and see yourself there, the things around it, the opportunities and how you sell yourself, so for example, she's got to sell it to her boss to make that happen. If you just ask and hope that you can go, you're less likely to go. But if you're like, I'm committed to going, and it directs how you communicate, it directs how you're willing to, what answer you're willing to take, or the steps you're willing to take to get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I do love that make it happen thing. I can remember very, very, very clearly something that happened to me last year, a couple of years ago. I was basically a potential opportunity came up to spend a day in private training with a magician called Paul Daniels. He was a very famous magician in the UK. Sadly, he died last year. But there was an opportunity came up whereby I could have had a chance to work with him. And I know in the past I would have thought that exact thing. Oh, that would be nice. Wouldn't it be nice to get to do that? But I remember distinctly thinking, right, I want to do this. So the dare to dream. What would it be like if I could find a way to actually get to spend a day working privately, one-on-one with Paul? And the more I started to dream about that and the effect it was going to have on me, the more I started to believe, you know what, this is possible. This could happen. And yeah, you're right. So I went from, it would be nice if that could happen, to, okay, this is going to happen. What do I need to do to make this happen? And sure enough, it happened. And I ended up spending a fantastic day with him because, as you say, change the way you approach it from that would be nice if only to it's going to happen. What do I have to do to make it happen? Yeah, I think you've got some. I think you're onto something there with those three keys. How did you come up with those three steps? Just out of interest.
It's a study. After my third retirement, 2006, when I started going to conferences and seminars and trainings. I trained to become a neurolinguistic practitioner, and a life change coach and performance coach. And I started to look at how did I make these changes? And I think because I was looking at how other athletes struggled in sport, in transitioning forward. So I thought, that's, now I feel I successfully transitioned. What has allowed me to make that happen? And so I traced the steps. And at that point, it was an 8-step process. And they are still my 8 steps of my program, Success Beyond Sport. Originally targeted for athletes, how to retire from sport and keep winning. But it's also, there's definitely an audience there for non-athletes because it's the same steps to make change in your life. And but then I sort of, looking at those 8 steps, it's like, well, really, these are the 3 points. And it's just, it's much easier to remember 3 points than it is to remember 8 points. So it's like, simplify it. And they were the most important steps. Within the belief and make it happen, and I've mentioned a couple of times, it's the focus and commitment, which are keys to that. So I could make it, elaborate, make it a 5-step, but it's much easier if you think, okay, 3 steps, dare to dream, believe, make it happen. And then within that, there's another chunk of the focus and commitment. So I wanted to make it memorable. But I think from there, and there's lots of little pieces you can add to that. With daring to dream, and we might touch on this as well. We can talk about clarity. So you can sort of map it out to have a lot more than just 3 pieces. But those 3, starting with that, remembering that, will help anybody to make change that they desire in their life. And sometimes you're like, hey, things aren't happening, I want to make change, and sometimes change happens, and you might resist it, but it's how do you take charge of that change.
Got it. Yeah, got it. Yeah, you're so right. There are many times in life where change happens, whether you want it to or not, and you've got to you can either bury your head in the sand and get buried by the change, or as you say, you can take control. Say, right, how am I going to manage this change? What do I want out of this? And I guess these 3 steps would be ideal in that sort of situation as well. Dare to dream, change is happening. How can I make the best of it? What do I want out of this? What would be a great outcome for me from this? And then believe and make it happen, as you say.
Absolutely. Steering the change in the direction that you want. It's okay. Now I'm here. Like, I'm in Maui because I met a guy, which was I created this picture of my dream man living on an island, not knowing how that might happen, or living near a beach and everything. And then I met this man on eHarmony. We met online, and he lived on Maui, Hawaii. And it was sort of a fait accompli. Okay, if we were going to make our lives happen, then I was going to come here. He had dogs and a daughter and equipment, so he wasn't necessarily going to move to Australia. So even though it was like it definitely was a positive change, there was still steps like, okay, how do I make this change work for me? How do I fit into this change? It's not just about moving, but all the other aspects to it.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that story about how you two met, because I remember the first time I heard you sharing it. It's like, wow, that's amazing, because I don't want to. You missed it out this time because obviously we're short for time, but I know you kind of had this picture of the whole thing, including you and him running along the beach with, what was it, with 2 dogs, was it, or something? And and that turned out to be exactly how it is. That is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. The first time we actually physically met, was we were running down on the beach here in Maui, and I was there, and it's like, it wasn't an exact picture, but it was very close. It's like, wow, I'm running on the beach with a man with dogs, and that was 2 years earlier. I created this picture in my mind of my dream life, and I don't know, I'm not even a dog person. I'm a cat person. So
Wow.
3 cats now, so it's all good.
Oh, good. All balances out. Nice. So, hey, Annette, what's the most important key to creating the change that you want in your life? What would be the most important key?
For me, and maybe it's just me, it's the clarity of your dream.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because, I so often my Olympic dream was easy. It's like, it sort of came into me when I was young. It's like, man, I want to go to the Olympics, etc. My life after sport, that was less clear. What did I really want? And even, as I was here in Maui, I had little pieces of what I wanted, but it wasn't really clear. And whenever I lacked that clarity, I struggled in my life. I had little ideas of that, but it was like, man, it's not happening. Why isn't this happening? It's because I didn't have the clarity, and without clarity, it's hard to have belief and desire to make something happen because it's just not clear. And I'd have some vague ideas. I'd write down points, and I definitely have my bucket list and those things I tick off. But with the bucket list, when you're writing it down, that adds clarity to what you want in life, and a list of things you want to achieve and experience. But with my overall life, I lack clarity in necessarily how I want my life to be here on Maui, in specifically my professional life. And as long as I had clarity, it was all a little bit vague. But once I gained clarity and would write it down how I wanted my life to be, then things would swiftly change. And so I know that's the key for me. It's got to be the key for others. Can you relate to that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, if you don't have clarity, if you're not clear on exactly what it is you want, then how can you dream big about whatever it is you want? How can you believe in it, and how can you make it happen if you're not even sure what it is that you want? So yeah, I can see that.
And so sometimes the negative experience in your life are really to help you to get that clarity. I don't want this, so this is what I want. And so often you have to go through these little struggles, I believe, to really help you define what it is you want and to shape your life. And or sometimes it's like, well, I thought I wanted this, but it's not. So, refine. And I guess I came a lot out of that as well with through seeing what a lot of my I've got a lot of successful friends doing amazing things, and social media, you can see what they're doing, and like, wow, I wish I was doing that, or that's my initial thoughts. But then I sort of think about it. It's like, well, actually, no, I don't really want that. It's like, it seems like, wow, their life sounds great. But if I step into about everything that's involved with that, it's like, well, no, I don't want that. This is what I want here. This is, these aspects are important to me. These are my values, and I love this, love that. So into it comes appreciation. But hey, if I tweak this or of that, this is what I want, can help definitely shape clarity. But really getting clear with what you want and not necessarily what others want.
Yeah, that certainly makes a lot of sense. So I guess, as you say, having the clarity about when you see other people posting these wonderful things they're up to on Facebook, if you don't have clarity about what you do want, you can end up dreaming and believing and make happen things that just because other people are doing them are not really what you actually want. So you spend all that time chasing them, you get them, and then you think, well, why am I still not happy? It's because it wasn't something I actually wanted.
Well, the thing is, you don't even make them happen because you don't have the desire and the commitment to it. So you spend your time wishful thinking, and why doesn't anything happen to me? It's because you don't want it, really. You're not committed to it. You're not focused. but just when you see it, it's like, oh man, that would be good. But then you go back to doing what you would normally do because
Yeah.